Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Moral of the first story, sometimes you have to fight crazy with crazy. I seriously don't understand the mentality of some people. Sometimes people with mental health issues are more understandable than job-stealing Karen. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You'll have my job? Okay, this should be interesting. I'm reminded of something that happened to a friend of mine maybe 1 or 2 years ago. I tell this story as it was told to me in the first person. So I'm out shopping for a few things, bread, milk, bin bags, etc. I remember that I need some ham, so I go to the cooked meats aisle and look for something tempting. As I'm searching for something nice, I hear a voice behind me saying, "Excuse me," in a not at all polite manner. I look over my shoulder and see the local Karen. I acknowledge her and take 2 steps to the side, but don't turn around. I feel a tap on my shoulder and the same non-too-polite voice saying, "Excuse me, I'm talking to you. Don't ignore me." I turn around and open my mouth to ask what she wants and why she's being rude. But before I can speak, she starts berating me for being a lazy member of staff and ignoring her. I say, "If you think I work here, you're wrong. I don't." And she says, "You're just being effing lazy. I'll have your job." "Really?" I say, badly feigning surprise. "You'll have my job?" "Yes, I will," she says, with a strange mixture of superiority, righteousness, and stupidity. "Okay, suit yourself. You can have it." I waved my hands around in strange shapes and announced, "You are now officially a member of staff." It said that a picture can speak 1,000 words, but the look on her face at this point just said, "What the F?" "But I want you to get things for me. I want," she starts. "Don't ask me, I'm a customer. You should ask a colleague since you work here. In fact, you can help me with what I need." "What? I don't work here," she gibbers. Yes, you do. "You said you'd have my job and I gave it to you. Now F off and leave me alone." She stomps off, but that wasn't the end of it. Another customer who's clearly seen the interaction stopped her halfway up the aisle and said loudly enough for me to hear, "Oh, finally, someone who works here. Can you get that heavy thing off the top shelf?" "Oh, F off," she exploded and walked, presumably out of the shop. Other customer, "You absolute legend." And our second story. Entitled tourist and her kid get busted for shoplifting, but get mad because they got kicked out. So I work at a small retail store in a beach town in California where we get a somewhat big turnout of tourists, especially during the summer. Now to the story. So this specific day, I was placing t-shirts on some shelves. In walks entitled tourist and her spoiled child. I hear the kid, "Mommy, I want that shirt. It looks cool." To which your mother says, "Whatever, take it. Let's go. We have a long drive ahead." Once the kid grabs the shirt, they begin to walk at a fast, suspicious pace before making a dash to the entrance. Just so you know the layout, entitled tourist and her child and I are at the back of the store and the entrance is probably 30 feet away. Protocol for shoplifters in our store is that one employee at the top of the lungs, "Shoplifter!" and the nearest employee must stop what they're doing and run to the entrance before the shoplifters escape and lock the doors. So I yell out, "Shoplifter!" to which the cashier, let's call him Alan, manages to reach the entrance and locks the doors. The entitled tourist starts asking, "Let us leave. We have a long drive and we want to be home before sunset." Alan just tells her, "Ma'am, open your purse. We just caught you and your child shoplifting." The entitled tourist, trying to insist they did nothing wrong, asked for the manager. The manager, let's call him David, saw the whole thing go down. To make things worse, he has an iPad that's synced with the cameras, so he pretended he knew nothing about what happened and asked, "What seems to be the problem here?" And the tourist responds, "This idiot and the other idiot in the back are accusing me of shoplifting. I paid for this shirt." And David turns on his iPad and says, "Oh, is this what you're referencing?" And he shows her the footage of her and her child shoplifting and trying to flee the scene. The face on the tourist went from smug to, "Oh, I mess up big time" face. And David tells her, "I'm going to give you 2 options. 1, give me the stolen merch right now and I won't call the police, but you'll be permanently banned from this place. Or 2, I call the police and you'll be leaving this building in handcuffs." The entitled tourist, knowing she'd lost, not only gave David the shirt the kid tried to steal, but some sunglasses and a hat she'd shoved into her purse. David tells her, "Have a safe drive home," to which the tourist and her brat of a child storm out. Later, I asked David why he didn't just call the police. David said that he didn't want the kid seeing her mother in handcuffs, and even if she deserved to, he added that we dealt with it faster than the police would have if we did call them. I'm sure that kid will see his mom, if he hadn't already, in cuffs at some point in his life. And our next story. My prehistoric Karen story. About 30 years ago, when I was a young driver, I met my first Karen. I was still in my late teens, and she was a lot older. It was winter, and I was leaving a shopping mall and trying to merge into traffic on a major road when this Karen, who was following too closely, bumped into the back of my car. I received a good jolt, and there was some damage to the bumper. I wasn't pissed or anything. It was an accident. We stopped, and I got out to exchange insurance info, but she was not willing to give me her insurance info. She starts asking if she can give me a small amount of money for this and we can go about our way, and even begins to blame me for stopping suddenly. It's called yielding to oncoming traffic? Whatever. I'd been hit before and knew that sometimes vehicle damage doesn't show up right away. I wanted to take my car to be inspected. I held my ground and kept repeating, "Let's have the insurance companies work it out." After a couple minutes of haggling, she spots a cop car and flags it down. I don't know what she expected to happen. Maybe because I was a teen, they'd find me at fault, or IDK what? But she had the whole wait till your father gets home attitude going now. A marked police car pulls over, and so did 2 more unmarked vehicles. A total of 7 police officers exit 3 vehicles, 6 are in full tactical gear, and 1 is in uniform. They were obviously on their way to or from a raid of some sort. The uniformed officer approaches while the other 6 mill about. A couple light up cigarettes, and they seem pretty relaxed. She immediately starts to tell her story, but he cuts her off after a minute. I remember his words so clearly, even now. "Just give him your GD insurance information, lady, and get the F out of the road." When the 6 tactical officers heard the tone of voice coming from the other officer, they all stopped and turned to face her with daggers in their eyes. In a huff, she finally relents and begins writing down her insurance info and angrily hands the paper to me. It took 5 minutes and 7 police officers for this person to do one of the most simple things a driver's supposed to do: exchange insurance info. And our last story. People stored their boats on my land from hurricane. SC resident here. I own a beach house with 3.5 acres as a vacation property. It's about a quarter mile from the marina. I do have a boat ramp and 2 floating docks. This is the first time I've been down to check on the house after the hurricane. I noticed a line of about 15 boats sitting parked on my boat storage space. It's a 50 by 50 concrete slab I park project boats on when I work on them. I have a next door neighbor who retired, and he said prior to the hurricane he saw people showing up with trailers and taking their boat out. They proceeded to take their boats out, back them in, and cover them, assuming due to hurricane. My property's covered with no trespassing signs, as well as a gate with the lock broken on driveway. My neighbor usually texts me and keeps an eye on the property for me, but he said he assumed I was giving permission to people to store them for the hurricane. I filed a police report Friday and asked them to move the boats to their impound lot. They refused, giving me an excuse that they don't have a vehicle to tow the bigger boats. Furthermore, DNR was asked to come out to get the registration information off the boats to contact the owners. They cannot do this because the boat covers are locked. They're ratcheted down with locking ratchets. You cannot physically pull them up to get the numbers off. They also will not cut the cover or built-in locking ratchet straps, stating the reason that the covers can go for thousands and something about it being a liability. The police officer agreed. I was then told that it's a civil matter now and they cannot tamper with the property. I asked the police if I can get a towing company out to move them to their lot since they can't. They said no, stating that they don't have room for them. I talked to the owner of the marina, thinking they'd told them they can park them there. The man said only one individual did show up and asked if the neighboring ramp and slab was a place to store while the hurricane passed. He has documented proof in the form of an email giving my phone numbers and contact info in case I wanted to charge them or allow them. I never received any calls or emails. and I also didn't approve anyone to do this. I took this to the investigator's office Friday. The Gmail account that was emailed as a junk account. The investigator told me he wasn't able to track it as it was just a Gmail. Web-based email didn't provide an IP or anything, just information linking back to the Gmail server. I'm tempted to cut the locks off the ratchets and pull the covers back to get the boat information. However, if DNR won't do it, I may get in trouble for doing it. Furthermore, a local towing company told me they can impound, tow away the boats for me and charge the owners. However, the DNR agent and policeman said I can't touch the boats or tamper with them. If I'm not allowed to cut the cover to get the info, and the police and DNR won't either, they're stuck here until somebody picks them up? These boats are all varied in sizes and pretty new, easily worth up to $100K. I got the serial numbers off the engines, talked to the manufacturers, but they don't have anything to trace them to other than which the dealerships they were sold to. I contacted those dealerships, but each one told me they don't separately title the motors, as in South Carolina that's not required. It is in some states. They could only give me the date that the motor was inventoried, how it was brought in, their cost, and by who, mechanic who checked the shipment in. They couldn't tell me any details of the boats they were attached to. Typically, a customer orders a custom boat and chooses the engine size. The outboards are then mounted to the boat of their choice. These motors were all tracked to marinas in nearby towns and cities. I did the same with the trailers, but these trailers are under the 2,500-pound weight requirements for registration. The biggest one is a 32-foot trailer with 1,830-pound weight. Edit. DNR did issue those orange warning stickers on the boats. After 45 days, they will remove them, and whatever damage done will not be held liable to them or me. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.